Count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you all for joining us and this opening of the FBI HPD training facility. This is a culmination of many years of planning by our city government and a vision by Mayor Tommy Battle. Almost 10 years ago, former Chief of Police and City Administrator and current Alabama State Legislator Rex Reynolds highlighted this area, which was all pine trees at one time. It's about 40-acre site. And it was also David Little. And David, I don't know if you're here, but this started out as a leadership project in Huntsville to locate the ideal place for the future training facility for Huntsville Police Department. So this site started then. Around 2013, Croy Engineering was contracted by then Chief Lewis Morris to survey and lay out a 40-acre site and a proposal on how this would be constructed. In 2015, we went on and have further evaluated this site by contracting with archaeological, historical, and environmental impacts that took almost 2 years before we could start pushing trees down and starting to see what you see now. Once the site prep began, the engineers used the existing dirt on the site to lay out 3 major areas. In fact, the areas over to your left was the rifle range. They dug that area out, took the dirt over, and created the pistol ranges that you'll see the north and south range out of. They also created a 100-yard rifle range. Once we started shooting on the range, the FBI said, you know, we're growing out here too. We can make this even bigger and better. So we started talking about a partnership, and we pushed the 100 range out to 600 meters. We improved the site's height, and we even brought out our sound engineers from Natural Resources, and we took sound measurements on how we could reduce the impact of Triana, our neighbors here in this area of Huntsville, and we wanted to reduce the sound impact for all the houses. We knew the future growth in the area, and we're continuing to monitor that sound as we build out this facility, which, by the way, when you look at the facilities, the shooting areas, you'll notice a lot of sound absorption, the height of the berms. It's way beyond what it was originally set for. So some things you may notice, and then other things are a little implanted into the construction. And we even have future plans after we take more measurements to see if additional sound dampening measures are needed. So as we worked together, we found out what you're about to open as you walk around is about 9 different training areas that can be used at the exact same time. All types of weapons, personal qualifications, hand-to-hand combat, physical fitness, police officer resiliency, and it's going to have a big impact on the recruitment and the retention of our police officers as what we hope to be the highest trained officers in the state of Alabama, all with partnership with the FBI and North Alabama growing together. So as you see, this started out, I wish I'd have brought some pictures of the few dirt berms and the small trailer that we started out with. This partnership has blossomed into this very large facility that you see behind us. I want to thank all those who've worked so hard to make this range possible. Mayor Tommy Battle, you've certainly started this long before I was Chief of Police, and thank you for your vision. The 2 men I learned the most about logistics and management has to be City Administrator John Hamilton and SAC Johnny Sharp with the FBI, who manage multi-million-dollar projects all the time, and they've taught me so much about how to build this out and make it come to where it is today. Public Works lead by Ricky Wilkerson, Chris McNeese, Huntsville Police Deputy Chief Corey Harris, and his wife, Val, who made the cakes inside. And if you've never tasted Val's cakes, we have a surprise for you. We have an FBI and an HPD cake inside. Thank you, Val, for doing that. Thank you, Corey. Captain Dwayne McCarver started this when he was over Director of Training, and Deputy Chief Kirk Giles and Captain Mike Izzo finished it out and brought it to where it is today, and they're all here with us, and thank you guys. Huntsville Landscape Management, Huntsville Engineers Chris O'Neill, Architect Jeffrey Alpha, Andy Summers with Croy Engineers. Andy, if I don't know if you're here or not, but I want to shake your hand again for all the work, 5 years of work you put in this place. These are just a few of the lead members that have worked so hard, and I could go on, but as you see, it took a team, a big team. This is about a 10-year project and about 10 or $11 million total over this 10 years that's gone into the construction of this facility. So thank you for our partnership with the FBI. They're going to talk to you here in just a minute. Right now, I want to introduce Honorable Tommy Battle, who made all this possible.
Thank you, Chief. You know, as we look across here, you look at a training facility. You execute just as you train. And we train daily to make sure that we have the best police force, not only in Alabama, in the Southeast, but in the nation. That we have a police force that is well trained, that knows how to react and knows how to protect and serve. And that's what we see on a day-to-day basis. We see a police force that protects and serves. This is a team sport here. It's a team sport that starts with administration, with people like John Hamilton, who put together the logistics of this and made sure that it became a reality. It's a team sport of a city council who came through, and I want to recognize Dr. Jeannie Robinson and Francis Akridge, who is here today, as portions of that team, because they're the ones who had to fund what we were doing. This is a team sport as we team with other law enforcement throughout Madison County. The Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Kevin Turner's here, with the Madison Police, or our Chief of Madison Police is here, and with the FBI. When we look at the law enforcement across this area, we have some very fine law enforcement officers. We have the best that there is out there, and we have the best forces that are out there. So to each of you for being part of that team, I want to say thank you today. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for making this a better community, making it a safe community, making a community where people look and as they see our officers, they understand that they're protected and that those people are serving them. So as we do that, as we've done this with the team, we would like to also welcome our partners, who is the FBI. They are now part of Team Redstone, part of Team Huntsville, Team North Alabama, and we're part of Team FBI. And it is a team effort that makes this whole community go together, because we work together in conjunction with each other for the betterment of the community, for the betterment of the state, for the betterment of the nation. And as we work with the FBI in this, I think that we will also make this state, this nation, this city a better place. So to each of you, thank you for the work that you've done. To our law enforcement, thank you. Thank you for the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. This training facility is reflected on why we do what we do, because we want to be the best that there is, and this training facility helps us to be the best that there is. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for being part of this today.
Good morning. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I remembered that 4 years ago, I met with neighbors, and we were in grief for a lot of police officers who had been killed in the line of duty. For over a week, we folded these little peace cranes. They might just look like a child's craft, but in each and every one of them was written a prayer for peace, a prayer for our city to be fearless. We folded 1,000 of them, because the legend in the Japanese culture is that when you fold 1,000, your prayer or your wish or your dream comes true. We draped them in a garland across the Optimist Park. Chief Giles and Captain Rice came and watched some of the folding. During that time, a woman was inspired to fold more of these peace cranes with a map of our city. And that small garland hangs, I think, someplace in police headquarters. So I'm here today to ask that all of us learn to live without fear. And it's because of the work of police and other law enforcement that we can live without fear. Fear is only overcome by love. And I ask that each police officer, each day, because when you leave the refuge of your home, know that you are loved. Know that you are loved when you walk out in the community. As written in Ephesians, put on all the armor of God so that you will be able to stand up against the devil's evil tricks. The armor of God is the Word of God. And the most important word of God is the great commandment, to love our neighbors as ourselves. I know you love our neighbors because it's a calling, what you do. Love yourself, please. Please don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm also reminded in this day, because of the location, that when I was a kid, I was qualifying for my marksman's badge. And I couldn't figure out why all of my shots were in one little circle off center. I never learned how to set my sights. So I want to speak very briefly about setting our sights together as a community. My vision for the sights that we have for Huntsville is to live in harmony. That requires a lot of respect from everybody, and especially for police. It requires learning from all of us. And we can only learn when, as I was talking with Representative Ball, we put away our fear and wait for the din of that fear to go away so that we can actually hear each other. I pray that all of us will live without fear and only in love as we continue to grow this great city. And may you learn how to fold a peace crane. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We certainly couldn't have picked a nicer day to officially open our training facility here, but I want to thank everybody for showing up and being here during this beautiful first day of fall. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mayor Battle. On behalf of the men and women of the FBI's Birmingham Division, it's great to be with each of you here today to officially open this beautiful joint training facility. The Chief's words certainly summed up how I feel about what this facility means to Huntsville, the FBI, and to local law enforcement. The ribbon cutting today is just another in a very long list of partnership successes the FBI has shared with the Huntsville Police Department. My staff will be working side by side with HPD at this facility, and your FBI will be training here 5 days per month. Additionally, we anticipate FBI-sponsored training such as sniper schools and firearms instructor schools will be made available at this facility to other FBI personnel and law enforcement partners from throughout the United States in the future. I want each of you here today, as well as citizens of Huntsville, to know how much the partnership with the Huntsville Police Department means to me and to the men and women of the FBI's Birmingham Division. My remarks this morning will focus on that partnership and its importance. I also want each of you to know how important Huntsville is to my office. Those aren't just words. Currently, I have 40% of my division's resources invested here in Huntsville. We don't just show up when something happens. We're here and we're community partners. While we are certainly proud of this new state-of-the-art training facility, the Chief and I are also proud of our other partnership successes, and we want to take the opportunity today to highlight two of those, starting with the North Alabama Violent Crimes Task Force. This task force began together unofficially last year with the Deputy Attorney General of the United States officially approving its creation in April of this year. Since that time, we've arrested over 30 subjects for violations including homicide, armed robbery, carjacking, weapons violations, sextortion, financial fraud, and other violations. That's 30 violent offenders off the streets thanks to our partnership. One recent example is DeAndre Day, who is a suspect in numerous armed robberies, home invasions, as well as shootings that have taken place in the Huntsville area this past year. Notably, the task force worked to successfully indict Day on federal charges involving kidnapping, where Day shot at an HPD officer during a vehicle pursuit. Day has also been charged by HPD on several additional crimes, which include aggravated assault and attempted murder. HPD currently has 2 full-time task force officers assigned to the Violent Crimes Task Force, with 5 more soon to be added as part-time members. There is also a joint working group within the Violent Crimes Task Force that conducts joint investigations on local cold case homicides. The second partnership we would like to highlight is the North Alabama Safe Streets Task Force. So where the Violent Crimes Task Force focuses on our most egregious career criminals, or our alpha criminals, if you will, the North Alabama Safe Streets Task Force focuses on long-term investigations involving violent gangs and criminal enterprises. The North Alabama Safe Streets Task Force started as a result of a partnership between the FBI and the North Alabama Drug Task Force, formerly known as the Strategic Counter-Drug Team, or STAC. In October of 2018, Birmingham FBI and STAC federally deputized 8 HPD officers. These officers, along with the FBI and other federal and state partners, conducted a 6-month-long investigation which utilized court-authorized wiretap surveillance and resulted in 38 federal indictments and arrests. Since then, the FBI and the North Alabama Drug Task Force have continued that great partnership and now have 4 full-time and 5 part-time HPD officers on the Safe Streets Task Force. Since October 2019, these task force officers have worked alongside the FBI and executed numerous arrests, drug seizures, and weapons recoveries. Since its inception, this task force has had 39 separate drug seizures, recovered 39 weapons, been responsible for 12 indictments, and 11 arrests. Currently, the North Alabama Safe Streets Task Force has 15 federal investigations open focusing on the current rise of heroin and fentanyl overdoses affecting our region. These are just a few examples of the successful partnership between the FBI and HPD. Pivoting back to why we're here today, I would certainly be remiss if I didn't say a big thank you to Associate Executive Assistant Director Dave Schlindorff, standing over here to over my left shoulder, who's here today and who you'll hear from shortly. I also want to thank retired Executive Assistant Director Rich Haley and the current Executive Assistant Director Jeff Sillett. All of these gentlemen represent the Finance and Facilities Division at FBI headquarters and were instrumental in approving the significant amount of FBI funding that has been dedicated to this joint training facility. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize Section Chief Nancy Brown, who is standing over here to my right. So Nancy is the senior FBI executive on Redstone Arsenal, and she is overseeing our expansion efforts there. We at the FBI know that we couldn't do what we do without our partners. We have a couple of other key partners here today. I see Sheriff Turner, I see Chief Jarnigan with Madison PD. So you may hear it called by several names: a collaboration, a task force, or simply interagency cooperation. But the label isn't important. What matters is that we get the job done and that we keep the citizens that we serve safe. You probably heard the expression, one team, one fight. I'm proud to say that's how your FBI and the Huntsville Police Department interact. We act as one team, engaged in one fight to protect and serve the citizens of North Alabama. So whether it's putting violent criminals in jail, fighting the scourge of the opioid epidemic, working on cold case murders, or as we see today, working together to provide high-level training for agents and officers, we do it together. So as our jobs in law enforcement seem to be more and more daunting each and every day, I'm thankful to have Chief McMurray and the men and women of the HPD in the fight together with us at the FBI and to share this beautiful new training facility. So again, thank you, Chief, for your friendship and working with the FBI in our shared mission and vision. And I look forward to our continued partnership, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with each of you today. And it is now my honor to introduce Associate Executive Assistant Director Dave Schlindorff, who has a few remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks very much to Special Agent in Charge Sharp, to Chief McMurray, Mayor Battle for inviting me here this morning. As we've heard, this facility has been 10 years in making, and I can honestly say that of all the folks represented behind me and out in the audience, I had the very least to do with making this facility possible. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here to take credit from FBI headquarters for the investment, but it's really my predecessors and Special Agent in Charge Sharp that deserve the credit for the investment we've made here with our partners today. Special Agent in Charge Sharp said, we are not just showing up in the Huntsville community when something happens, but we're members of this community. We've been here in Alabama for over 100 years, since the very founding of the FBI. Next year, we'll mark our 50th anniversary at the Redstone Arsenal in our Hazardous Devices School. And a year from now, almost exactly 1 year from now, we'll open several new facilities on the Arsenal that will house over 1,700 FBI employees. So our partnership in this community, our presence in this community will only continue to grow, and there's more buildings being built beyond that, more buildings on the design, being designed right now, so the presence will grow even beyond that in future years. This building harkens back to the very founding of the FBI and one of the tenets of the FBI, which has been collaboration with partnership, state, local partners, and the importance of training. And so it's an amazing opportunity for the future of law enforcement here in North Alabama. Each morning when I walk into FBI headquarters, there's a quote on the courtyard wall which reads, "The most effective weapon against crime is cooperation." The efforts of all law enforcement agencies with the support and understanding of the American public. I think in the times we live in today, those words really ring true to me and the importance of partnership and collaboration here in Alabama. So I want to thank again the chief, the mayor, Special Agent in Charge Sharp, because for years thousands of agents will come here from the FBI, from state and local law enforcement, and they will hone their skills, they will advance their skills, so when they go out in the streets, when they're responding to your calls, they will be best prepared to protect themselves, their fellow officers, but also the citizenry of Alabama. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here and represent FBI headquarters. Appreciate it.